Hey guys! It has been a while since I've done a wedding planning powwow, and I feel like this is all new and fresh again since it's been quite a few weeks. But I am super duper excited. Tonight I'm going to be chatting with Paulina of Blue Jasmine Florals. She's incredible. She's a super talented floral designer, a good friend of mine, and like the sweetest person on the planet. So I'm really excited to be chatting with her. Whenever she pops in here, I'll go ahead and add her on. But yeah, I feel like wedding planning has been kind of like slow and also not slow at the same time. So there's not too much that's new, but at the same time, I feel like, we've got a lot of our vendors locked in, and we're coming up on the 1 year mark. I think our countdown in the kitchen is like 380 days, which is nuts because I remember when that countdown was at like 500 and something days, and all of a sudden it just turned to 300 and something. So it's crazy. Time flies super fast, and yeah, I do not know where the time went. But let me see if I have Paulina in here. Not yet. Okay. But if anybody has any questions for Paulina about anything flower related, wedding floral design, feel free to throw them in here in the chat at any point, because she will definitely be able to answer. Paulina now.
Hi! How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm so good. Am I too bright with this on? Should I just turn it off maybe? It looks like I'm wearing like a halo. Hang on.
A little bit.
A little better, right? Hey, Jen.
Yes, that was
hey,
good.
Insta.
Hi.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. Thanks for doing this with me. I'm so pumped. And I really appreciate you sharing your wealth of floral knowledge.
Oh, I'm full of it, my friend.
Awesome. Well, can I just have you just share a little bit about who you are, what you do, for anybody who doesn't know you?
Okay, perfect. So, well, my name is Paulina, and what we do at Blue Jasmine is very organic design, very natural, wild, yet has a sort of refinement to it, so it doesn't feel like it's just too weedy. We love to create beautiful new things for each and every bride because I get bored very easily. Good thing that doesn't happen with the hubs, But yeah, every bride is unique and every couple is unique, and that's very important and very much the cornerstone, I think, to how we approach weddings and event design. So yeah, that's a little bit about us at Blue Jasmine.
I love it. Awesome. Well, I have some questions for you, but at any point, feel free to just like go on a tangent or take the wheel if there's anything you want to share about. But can you share about like how you got started? When did you get into floral design and weddings and all that?
That's a great question. So the journey began in a very kind of odd way. I was a very academic person before this life. I loved academia. I was like, I wanted to get my PhD and be a professor, and like had all these thoughts about what I wanted to do. And then somehow life took me to being, I was an adjunct professor for a little bit, and then I wound up being a high school teacher for like AP courses, and then I was just like, what am I doing? I'm like, this doesn't like feel right, like I'm over it, like all these goals were met, and I'm like, well, what else is out there? What can feed my soul in such a way that I think would feel a little bit more, I don't know, natural in some sort of respect. And what I started doing is I said, okay, well, what do I really love? What is it that calls my name? So there's a lot of meditation, sort of talking to my mom, talking to, family, my husband, everything. And somehow I landed on flowers. And I remember as a child, I used to pick little, like essentially weeds, or wildflowers, and I would steal them from the neighbors' yards, and it was horrible. My mom would be so mad at me because I would just pick them from everybody else. And I would make them these little tiny like bouquets, and for my grandma and for my mom, and my grandma lived with me. And next thing you know, I was like, wow, like that is a deep rooted love in my life. And I need to sort of see if I can do this. So during my teaching career, I would sneak away on weekends and go to like the botanical garden. I took a class. After that first class, I was like, I could do this. I was like, I feel like I could do this. And I signed up for one more class at the flower school in Chelsea. I opened the LLC in December of my last year of teaching, quit my job in January, rode it out until June, till the end of school year, opened the shop in Westfield in April, did demo build out, and then just dove in and was like, fingers crossed, I could do this. And I just was like, oh my God, this is crazy. But I felt like I was at the point of my life where, if I don't do it now, I will regret this for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And, the shop opened, things were going okay. And, whatever, had some help. My family was helping a lot. And then, Liz was with me, and TJ came along very early on, who's like my right-hand man. And, we started to evolve sort of our own aesthetic and style, because in New Jersey it was a little bit, and where it was a little hard to get people to like what we liked. So we had to kind of bend ourselves a little bit. And next thing you know, one wedding is 1 year. Next year was 12. Next year was 30. Next year, the following year was 37. Now it's 42. So it just kept rolling and rolling and rolling. And people just started liking what we do. And that's just kind of how the journey, like this path, I just sort of listened to the market and kept my mind open and stuck to my guns with what I think this market needed and what was missing here, and how we can do it for them. And it just kind of grew into this beautiful thing that we are so enjoying now. And so that's kind of how I got into it. A little strange, but
amazing. I love that. I love that, like, that one class was that's like exactly how I felt in college. I was in industrial design major, and I took photography as an elective, and that one class, and I was like, switching my major. I got
right. You're like, what am I doing?
Exactly.
Oh, I'm so glad you changed your career too.
Me too. Yeah, I'm like, that would have been miserable.
Horrible. My God.
But if I hadn't done industrial design, I would have never found photography to begin with. So
isn't that amazing how serendipitous life is, and how if you really put your kind of listen to your heart and really put your ear to your heart and really just let yourself listen and be open to that, especially if you're young enough to do that, or even if you're older. I don't think it even matters, but I think that's so important to say, I can't be doing something that I feel contrived doing, or I don't know, that doesn't feel right. There's no reason to do that. It's here, we live in a place that you have the freedom to explore and change jobs, and we're so lucky. So right on.
Yeah, totally. Oh my gosh, I love it. Yay. So where would you say is like the first place for a couple to start when they're thinking about wedding flowers, like from step one?
Okay, step one, couples, listen up. So the very first thing that I think couples should do, and just really have in their mindset, is, the first thing you do is you get engaged, right? Then you pick the date, and then you have your venue, right? You got to figure out where the wedding is going to happen. So with that being said, is always think about the venue. Think about the space first and foremost. What part of the space do you love that you really want to accentuate? Maybe there's some places you don't love and want to draw attention either away from it, or you want to cover it with something. And flowers are a great way of doing that. You don't always have to cover things in fabric or things like that. So I always say to the couples, think about your venue. What spaces in the venue need floral decor, or that you want to put decor at? And that's where you start. And then from there, you move on to, I love always asking, what is the tone? What is the mood that you want to set for your guests? I mean, is this mood, a lot of people love to say romantic. Some people say, I want it to be unique, or I want it to be natural. I want it to be classic. I want it to be refined. So think of adjectives. I've always asked people adjectives. Just tell me, what is it about you as a couple that you want to communicate through your decor to your guests? Are you very relaxed people? Then your decor should communicate that. It shouldn't be something stuffy or too formal, you know. But if you're a couple that likes to get dressed up and goes out to dinner and does like fabulous things or whatever it is, that tone should be honed in on in your decor. So I always say tone and venue, what you want to do with your venue. That's what you start.
And I just love like your whole approach to flowers and everything, like making it like about the couple, and it's not just like, well, we're just having peonies everywhere because
exactly,
like,
or like math, like, okay, so we do this and this, and you can get it in this color or whatever color you want. Exactly, Jen, it's all about you guys and you as a couple and what makes it you and not anybody else's but you and well, you and the hubs or your couple, you know, whatever I always say, you know. Yeah. So yeah, I can't agree more that I think it's so important to make sure that the couple is always in the focus and at the heart of what we do as like event floral designers, you know.
I love that. So before your like first floral consultation, what should people do to like prepare for that?
Oh, that's a great one. So, the prepping part, you can go crazy. I mean, you can go nuts. You really can, and know everything and all that. But I mean, the basics behind it truly is, so we have an intake form that we have couples fill out that give us a little bit of a better idea of what the needs are. So obviously knowing your needs, knowing, okay, I have, you know, 5 bridesmaids and I need parents and, you know, we have a ceremony on site that we need to decorate, or is it a church? We have 200 people and budget. I know I hate saying the word, but budget. I know it's like, oh my God, but it's like such a big thing because I don't want to go crazy dreaming up something that is totally out of the realm, or, you know, do I need to get creative, or is it that maybe I'm holding back and I know that, you know, the couple wants something that's more, I wouldn't say over the top, but more layered or whatever it may be. So right. Definitely knowing, again, your mood, the budget, and then color. Some people are very open to color. I am a color freak. Like, I am so ridiculous about color. It's like, sometimes I have to just like take a step back and be like, all right, relax. Like, I have my own theory. Like, I need 2 to 3 varieties within a certain shade and then a bridge color. If we have 3 colors, then what's the tertiary? So like, that's my neurosis, but that's why, you know what I'm saying? Like, let me do that work. But if you say to me like blush, white, and greenery or something like that. So knowing your colors, knowing your scope. So, you know, your maids and all that stuff. And just kind of knowing what you want to do with your venue. Is it tall centerpieces, low centerpieces, just simple things like that. And then any florist will be able to guide you and walk you through what they can do for you, or, you know, what would look right in that venue, or even say, hey, listen, what you're dreaming up is either out of the budget, or listen, you know, this room is gigantic. You can't just do all those centerpieces. We have to do a hanging installation. We have to do tall centerpieces. We have to do something to the venue to make it look like a wedding and not just like a party or, you know, a baby shower or whatever that is. So that's my suggestion to couples to come to their consults.
That's super helpful. I feel like when I did my consultation with you, I was like, I don't know.
I know, but it was so fun though. you let me go crazy wild. I was like, oh, I love this castle. I was like, oh my God, I know. But remember how we started? We started almost with an image of a sunrise. And what did those colors mean? What tone is that setting? And you guys are super casual and fun and natural. And, you know, your photography even breathes life into the photography. So we, you know, that is going to be totally communicated in your decor. So again, so that was so fun.
I love it. I feel like just like watching the way that like your mind works on just like coming up. I was just feel like my mouth was just like hanging open the whole time. I was like, how do you even like think like this? It's amazing.
There's really there might be a little bit of a screw loose in there, but you know.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Oh, speaking of, can you explain a little bit of like what your process is when you're kind of like dreaming up what the floral design will look like?
That is a crazy good question. So as you have experienced, my mind goes off into like tangents, and like it's almost like a living, breathing think cloud. And like you start with something and then it's like a line and a line and a line and a line and a line. And like all these little, it's almost like a tree, you know, there's the trunk, the main idea, and then it just starts to branch and branch. And then the leaves that leaf out are the detail and the detail and the detail and the detail. So it really starts with the central idea that we come up with together, the couple and us. And, you know, I talk her through it, or, you know, like Jen, like we were talking like, okay, so somehow Spanish moss came into our conversation. Oh my God, oh my God. And I found a vendor that has fresh stuff, so I'm like so excited. I know, but that's for another day. Because it's amazing, and I can get like pounds of it, which I'm so excited about.
Oh my gosh.
I know, like I'm sweating just thinking about it.
I'm so excited.
I get way too excited too. I've been told that my whole life. So sometimes my energy level tends to scare people off, but sometimes people really like it. So just, you know, that's
I love it.
part of,
right?
I'm like, that's kind of part of the creative process is like, the more excited I get, the more the ideas start to like fire off like fireworks in my head. So essentially that's like what it is. It's like, we start with the main idea, and then through the collaboration, and it's always like, I firebomb ideas that are happening in my head to the couple. And then I can see or hear a reaction. So once that reaction becomes more and more positive, I hold on to that idea. And then from that idea, other ideas start to branch, because then the clarity starts to kind of come through. And then it starts to really become this full vision that is so unique and really echoes back to the couple, you know? So that's kind of how our creative process works. And that's why no two weddings are alike. And like I said, I get really bored really easily. So I'm like, oh, what new can we do? Let's dream it up. We'll figure out how to do it later.
Yeah.
You know, but let's just dream it for now.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's amazing. Wow. And can you share some tips and advice for brides who are starting to plan their florals?
Yes. So the tips I would say for brides is to, again, sort of think about the tone and the mood. I've said to girls before, you know, you can find inspiration anywhere. I mean, the inspiration for the full vision of the wedding can come from, for example, there's a place called the Bird and Con Mansion in the Upper East Side in New York. Very old world, very antique, very kind of Victorian. So it's like, don't fight that. Go with it. Don't fight your venue. You got to go with it. Natarar is like a, you know, has that dichotomy of modern and kind of old world at the same time, you know. So in that venue, it's a little bit different. You can do different things. Fernbrook Farm, you're in a tent. It's very natural. You're in a garden. I mean, there's fern in the name. So, you know, like it's understanding that, come up with something that feels right to you, but doesn't fight the venue, and it really makes sense in that regard. And then again, budget. I know, it's like I always just want to give more flowers. I just want more. I'm always like, more is more. I know less is more, yes, but more can be more. So there's that, you know. And my advice for that is, and this is a very hard thing to even say, because even at my own wedding, I didn't understand or know what the full budget or picture of what the wedding was going to cost, because you don't have all of your vendors in place. Some people don't have, you know, the large budget understood before they start doing, you know, their vendor searches. But I think the most appropriate sort of way of thinking about it is that your floral budget should hover somewhere between 10 and 12% of the full budget. So if you're spending $100,000 on your wedding, you should be spending 10 on your flowers, because it has to make sense. You're not going to have a 15-piece band, rented chairs, rented linens, rented tables, and then do like 3 pillar candles on the table. You know what I mean? So like, yeah. So like, that's where you don't want it to feel disconnected. So that's always a tip that I kind of want to give couples, and keep an open mind. Always keep an open mind. You know, even if things don't feel like, oh, like, oh, I really, really wanted that. Like, allow yourself to change up your designs. You wanted all tall centerpieces, break it up half and half. Keep an open mind and listen to the ideas that come through, because sometimes you will say, oh, I'm so glad I did that. You know, I'm really glad that I didn't pigeonhole myself into an idea that I thought was so amazing, and now I feel like it's a little bit more unique and a little bit more mine. That's my tip. That's a lot of tips.
That's good. No, that's so helpful. That makes a lot of sense, like budget wise. That like,
right?
I don't know why. That it's like, oh yeah, totally, totally
makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like for me, I mean, I just like Paulina go wild because I trust you with my life. So
I love you.
I feel like finding vendors who just like you trust them, and that's,
oh my
like,
God,
huge.
1,000%. And I have said that to couples. I'm like, listen, you have to feel connected to your vendor, and you have to trust, because by doing that, you're going to have a better time. You're going to have a better engagement. Yeah. The vendor themselves is going to put forth a better product, because there isn't all this stress on like little tiny things, or like, oh my God, is it big enough? Or is it this? Is the blush too blush? Is it this? You know, well, I'm neurotic about color, so color's another thing. But we talked about that, you know. But, and having that connection, like, you know, hey, like, oh, I just want you to be happy. And like you said, like, having that connection, like, I can't, like, with photography, that's huge. I mean, you can't look yourself, right? If you don't feel comfortable with your photographer. So I agree 1,000% that, you know, if the meeting doesn't go well and it feels odd, or it feels a little off, or that your vendor's not interpreting your vision in the right way, it's not the vendor for you. Move on. There's so many people in this tri-state area. The market is totally saturated. So it's just shop a little bit more. And then if you can't find anybody else, and you're like, well, this person was like 80% with this person, then go with your 80%. Great. Better than 50.
Awesome. So what are some unique ways to think outside the box with your florals, which I feel like is just everything that you do?
Oh my God, I love it. So my new jam is doing these things. Like, we didn't know what to name them, and one day we were like, wait, you don't actually need a vessel. Like, you don't need a container. So you can do something beautiful that is organic and looks like it's growing out of the table without actually having to spend money on hard goods, like, you know, or marking a color, for example, like a metallic color or anything like that with the actual vase. So that's kind of been our new jam. Really playing with layers and heights and candle decor is like huge for me. I like love doing that. And accenting things with, I love small things. Yeah. I think they're really cute. And like, that's where less is more. But like having some sweet little bud vase with a single beautiful highlighted flower, or like a pin frog with, you know, some cute little really pretty leggy thing, I think really elevates designs without going crazy. And it's, I think, the smaller details that make the whole tablescape much more interesting than it just having centerpiece,
Right.
you know, and like a candle, you know, play play with your candle heights, candle color. Oh, love doing colored candles. It's like my jam. So like doing like a taupe candle, like a taupe taper candle, yeah, or like, let's say you're doing green and white, and we did this wedding, it was all green and white, and we did a light blue taper candle, only touch of blue in the entire wedding, and it was everywhere, but it was beautiful and it was very unexpected. So you're kind of like, oh, all right. So if you want to play up an accent color, that's a great way of doing it. So you can go nuts and just yeah, like letting the creativity flow. And like later on this year, we're doing these like 4-post pedestals, but instead of putting an arrangement on the top of it, we're doing arrangements on the actual pedestal to make it look like a column, like on the table, with these like growing organic things coming out of it. And our couple is trusting us, so thank God. We were like, oh, that sounds cool. Like, yeah. So yeah, it's really sort of thinking out of the box, and again, like playing with your candle color, playing with heights, and playing with small things. That's what I think is kind of like the cornerstone to making the tablescapes more unique.
I love that. I like, for whatever reason, it's like colored candles is like never something like,
right. It's like,
oh, white candles, because
yeah, everybody's right. Because it's bridal and like this and that, but it's like, why not do like a mustard colored candle? Yeah. Oh, love that, with like rusts and terracottas and peaches, and delicious, right? I mean,
so cool.
I can go nuts.
Yeah. I just feel like, especially just because there's just so much stuff like out there in the world, that it's like, you think that it's like, oh, I have to do like a floral centerpiece and my white candles, and like it's like you don't even realize that like you're kind of like blocking yourself in to what you think you are supposed to do.
So true. And options are limitless. And I've even been playing around with searching for cool candle holders and stuff on like H&M Home, like going beyond who I can actually buy from as a floral designer, and understanding like there's a much bigger world out there. And yeah, it might be retail, but if it's worth it, I'm willing to invest in it. And you know what I mean? So it's like, I say that to girls too. I'm like, hey, maybe we can find something on like CBD2, or like even like World Finds, like something kind of cool. And the only big problem with that is volume. Like if you need 50 of them, it's kind of a problem. But if you only need 20, I mean, you can make that happen. Exactly. Yeah. Or like just for the head table, like, you know, there's ways you can manipulate that.
Oh my gosh, cool. Wow. I just, man, even like when with the like proposal you sent me, just the way that you like describe everything, I'm just like, I can see it. Like it's like some crazy, amazing. Like,
you are so sweet. I love words too. I'm definitely a verbal person.
Yes.
I was a linguist, so kind of that's the only part of my degree I'm using are words. My poor parents. My poor pocket. It's okay. Worth it. Met my husband.
Oh my gosh. Oh boy. Okay, let me see what else I have here. So for couples who want to have stunning florals but are more restricted on budget, do you have any advice on ways that they can still do like something beautiful with their floral design, even if they're more restricted?
Potted plants, friend. Potted plants. Like, if you're willing to have half of the tables be like just foliage and play with color and different textures and foliage, you can do something beautiful, you know, for much less expensive. Put it in a gray pot. You can spray paint a terracotta pot that's like from Home Depot, any color you want. Any color in the rainbow. There's Home Depot spray paint. We love it. We spray things, we spray compotes all of the time to make it what we want them to be.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, potted plants, really, really big one. And candles. I mean, you can go, candles aren't cheap. I'm not going to say that they're cheap, but if you're a girl that has a lot of time, or a guy that has a lot of time, you can go to Christmas tree shops right after Christmas and go nuts. Buy it all. Send it to your florist or keep it at home. A couple weeks before the wedding, drop it off at your florist or drop it off at the venue. Let your florist know how many you have. The florist will delegate.
Uh-oh. I think I'm losing you.
Oh, you're losing me? Hello? No?
Oh, I think you cut out for a sec.
Okay. Am I back?
Yes.
Am I back? Now it's getting all dark.
You're a little pixely, but...
Oh, no! How about now?
Now it's good.
Okay. I have my halo on again.
That's okay.
I can put myself somewhere else. Like, my room is like crazy. All right. All right, we're good. We're back.
Okay. So you were saying, like, you can buy a bunch of stuff from Christmas tree shop or anything on sale, and then
bring it to the venue, bring it to your florist, tell your florist how many you have so the florist can delegate. Okay, if we have 50, we're going to put and you could do it on cheap. So that's definitely a way, if you're on a pinch or on a budget, it's a good way of sort of breaking things up. You can do a beautiful candle display with some styled greenery. Call it a day. That's it. You don't need more than that for, not on every table, but for a third or even half, and it could look beautiful. So it's definitely, I think, the best way to sort of go about that. Yeah.
Smart. I like that. Let's see. Oh, so what's your favorite part of what you do and why?
Oh my God. I don't know. Too many. Okay, I'll give you top three.
Okay.
Okay, so top three. Okay. So I would say dreaming it up, the whole creative process, making the bridal bouquet. I get really excited about that. And it's very, very almost emotional because I literally think about her and she's in my mind. I think about what she's like, what her voice is like, what she's going to wear, what everything else looks like, what's that mood that she wanted to set? Is she boisterous? She's bold. I think it should be a representation of her. Then the artist is insane. Like it's like a drug. Like delivering that bridal bouquet and having that smile and oh my God, I've cried with girls before. I'm like, I barely know you. Even if it was with a planner and I barely knew this girl, Andrea, and she was the cutest thing. I met her a couple times in person. So I definitely knew who she was, like her vibe. I knew her stature, I knew everything. But, most of my communications went through this planner, and I saw her that day and she looked so beautiful and her hair was so amazing. And her little boy was they were so I just really handpicked stuff. Well, I do with everybody, handpick everything, but I was just so excited to show her this bouquet because I wasn't too sure if it was the right size or flowers weren't so important at the time. And when she started welling up, I cried with her and I was like, this is the happiest thing ever. So that's really why this is the part of the flower industry that makes me most happy is seriously just the joy. I mean, it's a wedding. It's love. And I love love. Like, I'm addicted to it. I love very intensely in my life with my loved ones and my cat. I love her. She doesn't love it so much, but you know, there's cuddles and kisses more than she would want. But if anybody knows me, for me, TJ doesn't really love hugging, and I force him to hug me all the time. I'm a close talker. I'm very tactile. So like the whole realm of love, whether it's audible love, tactile love, you know, any expression of it, service love, acts, like all of it is why I love wedding work. I mean, that is the core, you know, it's the core. So I love love. I'm a sap. Let's be real. I'm like a living rom-com.
I love it.
Legit.
Amazing. You crack me up. Oh my god. Oh my gosh. So you got married before you started.
I did.
Doing florals. Okay, so what would, if you could go back and do over, is there anything you would do differently?
I would not carry this bouquet. I hated my bouquet so hard. I was like, this is not at all what I wanted. But I know I'm in my office, so I have this, and look how horrible I like framed it. It's like not even straight. That's the hubs, just so you know. Yeah, it was really.
Oh,
I know. I don't know, like everything went. Everything that we would want it to be. The music was great, food, everything. The floral decor was beautiful. She didn't listen to me on color. I'm a color freak, and I was like very specific about like my seasonal colors because I was like really intense about it. And then I got there and there was like blue instead of like dusty purples that I really wanted. I had like dusty purples and pops of coral with gray. It was all gray based because I got married in like a stone. It was like an old stone Tudor Pennsylvania like mansion. Yeah, it was beautiful. So I'll never forget that. I was like, this girl like did not get it. And like as a bride, you'll see it, Jen. It's a whirlwind. You walk in, you're like, wow, like oh my god, and everybody's like, oh my god, you're beautiful, oh my god, oh my god, congratulations, so sorry. And it's so many people coming at you and so much intensity that you don't have the time to really actually look around, you know. But I'm a flower person. So I remember looking around and being like, everything does look beautiful. I was like, she just didn't get my colors right. And then my bridesmaids would like really, really luxe. And so that was just what kind of like missed the mark. And I remember that feeling that way. And that's why I think that's not the reason why I got into wedding flowers, but I remember that so intensely that I think that's what makes me so crazy about color. Like, because I was crazy and I was like, I get it. You know what I mean? And I just want to make sure that I get it right. Exactly. And she also did not provide me like a mood board. And we do mood boards, you know, with either Pinterest or SmugMug. Like, I don't know. It's like flavor of the week, whatever is easy is happening. I don't know why I changed my mind half the time with doing the mood boards, whatever platform I use. But yeah, I remember being like, if I wish I would have had more of an understanding of what the words meant visually. So that way I can imagine things, but I think that that's very important to provide a client. And I definitely took that sort of lesson and infused it into the business, as I think it's like really important. So yeah, definitely got married before. What I would do differently is hire future me to do my flowers. Actually, for real though, I wish I would have saved a little bit more money and went with like the top vendor I wanted, and I couldn't afford it. So I was like, I went with plan B.
Mm-hmm.
And if flowers were that important to me, I should have told old Paulina, why don't you like not go out to dinner a couple times a month and save that money and put another $3,000 towards the flower budget and get what you really wanted that you're gonna have the lasting forever memory about and pictures for. So lesson learned.
That's a good one, because I feel like it's easy to get overwhelmed by like, oh my gosh, we're spending so much money on all of these things.
Everything is so expensive. Everything is so expensive. And then there's, I mean, oh my God, like the paper thing. Like, I mean, there's so many layers to a wedding. So,
yeah. But at the end of the day, it's like, this is a once in a lifetime.
That's it. One time, one expense. That's it.
Yeah.
And kind of, you know, my advice is also to know that flowers are the only thing that make the venue yours.
Yeah.
That venue is used time and time and time and time and time again. What makes it your wedding are the flowers. I mean, hands down.
Yeah.
It's the only thing. So I do wish that people would put flowers higher on their priority list. I mean, there's girls that are like, listen, flowers are everything. And I'm like, I love you. You know, I mean, I love everybody, but you know, is putting flowers maybe over paper or over, I don't know, even music, like maybe, or if groom's parents are like, hey, can we contribute? Hey, can you put some extra money towards the flowers? Like something to raise it a little bit higher on the list is definitely my advice to couples, because sometimes I think it gets a little lost in the whole discussion. I think it's always like venue, food, music. Oh, what's going to keep the party going? And I always say photography, it's the only thing you take home, right? It's the only thing you take home. So I always say flowers, photography, venue, music. Yeah. People will have a good time no matter what, you know? Yeah, it's important, but like, you know, if you're very clear with your vendor, then they should be able to put forth the vibe that you want. So
yeah,
flowers. More.
Yes.
More.
Yes. I love it. Let's see. I think the last question I have for you is any just advice that you have generally for newly engaged couples or couples that are like currently planning their weddings.
Don't wait too long to find your vendors, because I would hate for you to fall in love with somebody and then, like, we have to turn people away a lot. I don't want to compromise quality, and it's very important to us, you know. So know what's important to you. If the food is important to you, find a venue that has awesome food. I mean, you know, if the music is important to you, then, you know, maybe spend a little less on the venue and go for some 12-piece band. You know, it's whatever the couple deems important. Right. And looking for the vendors early on to make sure that you secure the people that you sorry, my battery is running low because I love dead electronics. I think that's my biggest advice, is finding your vendors early and keeping an open mind, always keeping an open mind, and just being open and honest with your vendors. I mean, say, hey, you know, with the DJ or your band, like, if you play the chicken dance, I'm going to die. And they need to hear that. Like, be open and honest. I said that. I was like, no, you know, I was like, we got to keep this classy. But, you know, exactly. So if, for example, you love organic design and things like that, do your research, find the people that can do what you like, especially, I mean, just kind of talking about the flower world, is go on Instagram, you know, find people that have worked at your venue or people that you are connected to the full portfolio, and knowing that you can trust that person. And that's huge. I mean, finding the vendor early that you can trust, that you don't have to compromise trust on, I think is so important. And just, know that wedding planning is fluid and shouldn't be static because things will change.
Awesome. I'm gonna take a quick peek. Oh, we have one question that Tara put on my stories. How did you get so cute?
How did I what?
Get so cute.
Oh my! I got a fabulous hairdresser. Her name is Monique. She's at Antonio's Salon in Milburn. If anybody wants to hit her up, her Instagram is Mufasa something. I can't remember. She's fab. TJ plays with my hair a lot for pictures, so he makes me look cute. It's really him. It's really not me.
It's all TJ. I love it. Oh my god.
And good skincare, which I'm not very good at, but I'm trying.
I'm not.
It's so hard.
Very hard.
It's so hard.
I feel like no clue.
I know.
No. Nope.
Yeah, no, me neither.
Like,
nope.
If I put like lotion on my face, it's a good day. Like,
exactly. You're like, wow, I have it together today.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's so bad. Gosh. Let me just scroll back through any of our other comments. Tori says that you're a floral magician.
Oh, you're so sweet. Wave my magic wand.
TJ
says you are such a liar. She's very quiet at work. Yeah. Yeah. Remember today? He's like, ba, 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 ba. I heard him on the background.
Oh my gosh. So funny.
Oh no, I'm frozen.
Uh-oh. Oh, there you are.
Oh. Jeez. Am I making a crazy face? Okay. Somehow it's always that crazy face. Yeah. Like right when it pauses. I'm like, nice. I look extra cute right now.
Yep.
Hair.
Oh my gosh. I love it.
Cool. Oh my God, look at all these people. Hi, people. Thank you for joining. Hi. Tara, we love you.
Oh, yay.
I know. Everybody wants your sweetheart table. People ask it for me all the time.
Oh, I love it.
TJ's questions are just hilarious. How did you get so pretty and smart? It's because of you, TJ. That's how that happened. And my husband's love. And Kitty. She's my heart and soul.
Oh.
As you understand, Jen, with Lily, right? I mean, it's like I have a daughter. Her name is Saki, and she's a cat.
Yeah. No, exactly.
She's my everything.
Yep.
Oh my God. We love you, Tara. Oh, Jen, I'm so glad we got to do this. Thank you so much for inviting me. And I'm so honored that I was chosen. And, it really means so much to be like even part of your own wedding. Like, that's so huge. I'm like, I feel so humbled and I just am. Like, my heart is warm.
And
it feels full.
Oh my God. I am so thankful that you did this with me and for all of the wedding goodness yet to come. You're seriously amazing. Like, literally dream team. Makes me so happy.
I know. I already booked freelancers for your wedding. You're out. I was like, this needs to be awesome. I'm like, I'm getting my best people. Legit. Not kidding. Sent the email yesterday.
You're amazing. Oh my gosh.
Love a plan.
I know. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Jen.
You're amazing.
You're amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for joining.
Yes.
Seriously, so humbled, and I'm so proud to even be in Jen's realm. So, again, thank you, Jen, and have a great night.
You too.
And so should we do this powwow again? Maybe we'll do it in like fall or something where I'm all giving you all fall ideas. You know, it's just
Yes, we
a whole
should
nother
definitely.
world.
Oh my gosh. Yep, it's happening.
All right, girly. Everybody, kiss. Good night.
Bye.
Bye, sweetheart.